Peace and love, sisters and brothers. I am Trump the Hippie, your psychedelic president. Keep watching for one of my great peace rallies. Each is different. Help make them go viral. Thanks for your warm welcome, everybody. Thank you very much. It's such a hip crowd I always draw out. It's so much fun. I mean, if you're going to be president, you got to have fun, right? Why would you do it if it's going to be, just stressful or a drag? Don't be a drag. Well, you can be in drag, but don't be a drag. You see, I know all the hip talk. All right, so we have a lot of things on the agenda tonight. If you've been to the other rallies, you've heard a lot of good stuff, but I got some new stuff for you today. And of course, I can multitask, so I can be president, and I can come up and tell you Canadians how you should do everything too, because I can multitask. So besides, I'm kind of a Canadian anyway. You know about my grandfather, right? He was a Yukoner. Yeah, during the gold rush, he had a whorehouse up there. And so I fit right in, like father, like grandfather, like son. All right, so what's the first thing? The first thing on the agenda, this rally, of course, is interactive, audience interactive. So you're not just sitting there like bumps on a log that I don't care about. No, I care about each and every one of you. And we have lots of microphones here. So if you want to say something more than a couple of words, I'll come down and you can talk into the mic, and you'll go down in history as having asked the president the best question ever. The best question to the best president ever. Right, so be thinking of your tough questions, or throw me a softball if you want, but I love the harder questions better. I like to tax my brain. I'm such a genius, So, I made up some new notes for this particular speech. Now, a lot of people say, well, you might be okay, Mr. President, if you weren't a Republican. Like, why do you have to be? That's the worst party ever. I mean, all the Canadians think that, because none of them like the Republicans, really. So I have to explain it to them, how clever I am, you see. It's like, what's the most popular First Nations character? The trickster, right? Could be a raven, could be a fox or something. Could be anything, really. But this favorite character is the trickster. So he does what you're not expecting, and then it turns out to be brilliant. The expression crazy like a fox, that's me, crazy like a fox. So why did I join the Republican Party a couple of years ago when I decided to save the country? I could have run as a Democrat, but I looked at both sides and I weighed it, and I thought, it'll be more fun being a Republican. A lot of advantages to that. So in the Republican Party, there are a lot of people who are a little backward in some ways, but I thought, I'll join their team. I'll help them out. They're losing, especially with those 16 loser candidates. Oh, what a bunch of losers. So I thought, they're in worse need of a good candidate than the Democrats. The Democrats have Bernie Sanders, right? The outsider candidate, never really a Democrat. So, and the mood of the public is for change, massive change. They're tired of all this two-party system junk. So I figured, okay, so Bernie's got the outsider flank of the Democratic Party, and I'll be the outsider flank of the Republican Party. Either way, we get an outsider in there, right? Good, right? Aren't I a genius? See, it works. It's working, right? So, and I go on the internet, with some of my fake accounts, and I argue how they should. I argue to my people. If you go to some of the Facebook groups and things that are supporting me, there's some not nice stuff in there. They call names too much, and they can't even spell their insults, some of them. But anyway, so I joined their team, so they're my people, so I help them out. I tell them, hey, you should listen to President Trump and not do it quite like that. So I give them a good advice. All right. So, you probably are being skeptical Canadians, most of you. You probably don't really even think I am a hippie. But if you look in your, what do you kids call it, the Wikipedia on the internet? So if you look in there, for the last 150 some years, there's not a long-haired president until you go way, way back, 150 years. I'm the first long-haired guy in a long time. And back then they were pretty square anyway. So I'm really the first psychedelic president. And there's lots of ways I can prove that. But first I'll answer her. Wouldn't it be good to share? Okay, so I'm a billionaire, but even if I gave all my money equally to all the people, it would only be 3 cents to each of you. You know, do the math. So that wouldn't work. So I have to be more clever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring prosperity to the whole people, all the people in the United States. Prosperity to the rich, prosperity to the poor. Because that's who elected me. Now, I could have stayed, I could have just kept on as a rich TV star, playboy. I could have just done that for the rest of my life and probably made a lot more money for myself. But you might not believe this, but I'm not a selfish guy. Well, I am and I'm not, okay. I'm selfish in that I want more and more glory for myself, but the only way I can do that is by bringing more and more glory to you. More and more prosperity to you, more equality to you, more health to you. That's how I'm going to get glorious myself. So, does that answer your question?
Well, it's like the pie in the sky dangling, and I never quite get there. And if you could help that pie go into my mouth, then I would say right on. But as long as it's a future dangle, you're a tease.
No, see, I just got elected just a few months ago. So up till now, it's been a tease, yes. And I'll try to ignore the sexual innuendo. But yes, up till now, that's been the truth. They're the danglers, right? That's the nature of the two-party system. That's really a plutocracy. So I'm a Pluto person, which means rich.
So you don't dangle? You really don't dangle?
Well, I dangle a lot farther down than you, I'll tell you that.
Pluto the dog? Oh, is it plutocracy like Pluto the dog?
Yeah, you studied Greek in college, did you? Yeah, it's Pluto, yeah, it goes all back to that, yeah. Well, the dog was named after the planet, which was named after the Greek thing, anyway, off topic. So spreading the wealth. Now, of course, the two parties, until I and Bernie came along, the two parties were all about soaking the public for their own benefit, to get campaign donations and get reelected and continue the huge scam that's been going on for hundreds of years. That's the two-party system. And so Bernie and I wanted to upset the apple cart. I mean, he and I didn't conspire ahead of time, but we're both pretty smart, and so that's what we're doing. So the democratic thing they dangle in front of you is free money. Free lunch, free money, free everything. We'll just tax the rich and give it to the poor. But that doesn't solve the problem. Well, and for one thing, it doesn't work. Never has worked. But it doesn't really solve the problem either. Because what kind of a public do you get? You get half the public working hard and being resentful, and the other half sitting around with nothing to do but smoke dope. So that doesn't solve the problem. So I'm going to bring in this new concept called the job guarantee. So what people really need is to feel part of their country or their community, to feel needed, to feel useful, to do something, to do work, to do something meaningful. That's what people need in their lives. And so some people can figure it out without any help, but a lot of people can't. So they need the community to provide them with jobs, with work. So guaranteed jobs is my plan, not for free money, that's the democratic way, but for the dignity of work. And that's sort of the line that the Republicans have been feeding you all these years to trick you, but I'm really going to do it, because I believe it. They didn't believe it, they're a bunch of phonies. And I knocked them down 1, 2, 3, up to 16 in the primaries. Wasn't that fun? That's one of the most fun times in my life. I didn't like to beat Hillary so much, you know, because I didn't want people to think I'm a sexist, beating a woman, but had to be done. So, should we go to your question now? Yeah. Okay.
Like what question?
Okay. She's okay.
When you came up to Wisconsin, and you asked for questions, and a dairy farmer stood up and said, I represent 1,400 dairy farmers, and every year we have to have the help of the Mexicans. And we bring them in for 4 months, and we house them, feed them, send their kids to school, we pay them well, and then we put them on the bus, and when it's all over, and drive back to the border. And you said, that's wonderful. I agree with that. That's all I really wanted, not a wall. You can call it anything you like, a wall or a ditch, but what I really want is a big front door.
A big gate, I said.
A big gate. He said front door. Oh, you said front door? You should know.
Well, maybe one time I said one and one time I said the other.
And now I see you're up with 5 different sections of fences that we can choose from. Are the Mexicans paying for those too?
We'll see. I like to keep my promises. So do you have a question? Which side of the fence are you on?
Well, I want to know, what are you doing? Are you building a fence or are you going to build a big front door?
I said all along, I'm going to do both. I said, we love immigrants. My mother was an immigrant from Scotland. I love immigrants. I've hired immigrants myself. So I have nothing against immigration. When I made the big speech that everybody got so upset about, I said that Mexico was sending some of their worst people, but that some of the Mexicans are fine. So who could disagree with that? But of course, they had to disagree with everything I said, so they tried to make out I was a racist. No, I love immigrants. I said from day one, build a big, beautiful wall with big, beautiful gates in it, or doors, whatever you want to call them. Check back. That's what I always said. My idea was never to shut the door. No, we never want to see any of you again. No, you think I'm stupid? No, I wouldn't say that. I'm a genius. Ivy League college. So, yeah, I've always been, and if Canada gets really upset, they'll build a wall too and try to make us pay for it. That'll be fun. I dare you. You see, I'm a daredevil. You see, that's part of being a hippie is you gotta take a dare once in a while. You gotta do something a little wild, right? Stir up the pot, right? The people are bored. They want a little bit of soap opera in their lives. Soap operas are quite popular. They want a little bit of television. I'm a television star. I've got it all for you. We're going to stir up the pot. We're going to get everybody upset, like the football players, for instance, okay? Everybody's upset about them. So, somebody says, oh, I think I'll take a knee. Well, I'll give you a knee where it hurts. No, I'm nonviolent, really. But what did I do? Did I calmly say, oh, let's create some peace, brother? Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good hip thing to do too. But I was a little more mischievous. So I took aside where most of my Republican supporters were at, and I said, no, it's unpatriotic. To stir up the pot, to get everybody arguing, and then we'll get some resolution. You see? You got to get the people interested in politics, because what's the worst problem in politics in the world today? Complacency. I'm making everyone not complacent anymore. I'm getting everybody upset. You see the method to my madness? Beautiful, isn't it? And eventually everything will get resolved and everybody will be happy and they'll say I'm the greatest president ever. And then it will have been worth it to give up my playboy lifestyle. Well, not totally give it up, but you don't know everything. So that's what I'm doing. So we're going to fix up everything in the world, and then after I served a couple of terms, we'll see if the United Nations wants me to go be Secretary General and solve the rest of the world's problems. How would you like that, for me to be Secretary General of the UN? Anyway, and then after my 2 terms, you don't doubt that I'll be reelected. People are losing so much money betting that I'll be impeached, or I'll lose the midterm elections, or I'll lose the next. No, bet the other way. You'll make lots of money. All right, so when I'm okay, so Obama served his terms, but he didn't do much, and partly the problem is he didn't focus on his strengths. Did you know that he was a lawyer? You knew that. What was his specialty? Anybody know his specialty in law? Nobody? Constitutional law. He knew the Constitution backwards and forwards. I've read it a couple of times, but I don't know it backwards and forwards. I'll hire somebody if I need that. But he's the expert, so he should have focused on his strengths. And like in my life, there's only been 6 amendments to the U.S. Constitution in my whole life. I'm 71 years old. Only 6 amendments. We need a lot more. And he didn't do that. It's his specialty, and he didn't do it. That's like, for instance, if he were, say he were black and he didn't do anything for the blacks. It would be that stupid, right? So he's this constitutional expert, and he doesn't let a peep out of his mouth about the Constitution. So he's sitting there with nothing to do but go back to his cigarettes, and I'm going to tell him, look, get off the weed and I'll give you a job. I'll put you in charge of the Constitutional Amendment Commission, something like that. How's that sound? Give him something to do, the poor guy. He's young. Well, his lungs are a lot older than mine. I never smoked. Anyway, give him something to do. The Constitution needs a lot of amendment, really. You heard of Thomas Jefferson in Canada? He was the 3rd president. And he was writing the documents and everything. One of the founding fathers, they call him. And his take on the Constitution was, that thing should be rewritten every 10 years or so. Rewritten every 10 years or so. Thomas Jefferson said that. And he was right. There needs to be renewal. There needs to be change. People learn things. Oh, we made a mistake there. Oh, blacks are worth 3/5 of a person. Well, that's a mistake. Electoral college. Oh, that's a mistake. Lots of mistakes in the Constitution which have been there over 200 years. Why aren't they amended? Why aren't they? I'm going to change all that. We're going to make this country great. Now, I said make this country great again, but I probably should have just said make this country great, because it's going to be better than it ever was. The again part, it was never really perfect. I'm going to strive for more perfection. Because that's how I got where I am. In my field, my building field, the building has to be perfect. If you wanted to do a sloppy job building one of my buildings, well, you didn't get paid. People complained that I didn't pay them. Well, right. If they're lazy, do a bad job, screw up the carpentry, no, you're not going to get paid. Why should you? That's only fair. That's how we make things great. We insist on excellence. Insist on excellence. Ugh, this is so much fun. It's like a love fest here with my people. Because, it's like Woodstock here, except nobody's naked yet. You two gals, you can go nude if you want. Well, or you at least take your tops off. So, okay, good. Apparently someone is topless in the audience. All right. Now, top more. Oh, that's even better than topless. Not top less, top more. Well, the more the better. That's what the men say. All right. So, I'm a radical hippie, like I've said, and in fact, I was the first one to occupy Wall Street. Right? You heard of the Occupy movement? Well, they copied that from me. I've been doing that for decades, right? I came from Queens, that's not Wall Street. I came from the outside, came into Manhattan, came into Wall Street, and I'm taking over, right? I'm occupying Wall Street. So I love the Occupy movement. I love the hippies, I love the feminists, I love the occupiers. That's me, that's my people. And the coal miners, everybody, my people. The poorly educated, college dropouts, whatever, I love it. I'm a draft dodger, and my grandfather was the draft dodger, the Yukoner. He was a draft dodger too, from Germany. So it's in my blood. Right? Just being a hippie is just through and through my whole being. And when people realize that, then the naysayers will love me too. Right? The Republicans already, well, they don't exactly love me because I haven't really done that much for them yet, but we're building. I've told the Congress, no, you can't just repeal and replace Obamacare with something bad. They keep trying to do that. I mean, that's their natural tendency, these sellouts to the plutocracy, these Republicans. That's their natural tendency would be to get rid of Obamacare and put in something much worse. No, I told the people, no, it's going to be better. And so each time they say, oh, how about this, Trump? And of course, they're all gritting their teeth because they hate my guts, all of them, because I'm taking over their party. And they don't like it one bit. And some of them are even quitting. I quit the Senate. I can't take this Trump anymore. Good riddance. All right, so I told them, look, you got to make Obamacare, the replacement, it has to be better. The people have to realize it's better. No more rip-offs from the big insurance companies. What are you going to love the best? Okay, we're going to go wild here. We're going to go a little wild. Okay, so the world is in a mess. Religion is one of the big problems in the world. Have all these faiths, all these peaceful faiths fighting it out. This has been going on a long time. You know, that was the Crusades. Hundreds of years ago, we had the peaceful religious people fighting it out, bloodthirsty battles, killing everybody in sight. Yeah, so these peaceful religions. So what I'm going to do, well, of course, the common people in all of these religions, 99% of them are for peace, and they want peace, and they love peace, but they always get stirred up by the 1% of their church or of their country, and they always get tricked into war. So what are we going to do? We're going to bring together all of these faiths, representatives, and which they've tried before, but that was without me. With me leading them, they're going to reach consensus. Okay, the people want peace. Let's bring them peace. No more fighting among the religions, and they'll put together a new holy book. So I don't know if you've read any of these holy books, but there's some pretty questionable stuff in them, to put it mildly. So you take the best from the Old Testament, maybe a quarter of it, and the New Testament, same thing, and you get a few things from the Quran and the India holy books, I don't know their names, and you get the best from all of these books, and you put them together, and you make the new holy book for the new age, for the new peaceful utopia that we're going to create here on Earth. And we no, we don't burn them. That would look bad. We put them away in deep storage for the scholars to pore over. The worst parts of the books, and we have a new holy book. And I'm a little too conceited. Maybe you could call it the Bible, the Donald Trump version. My name's already going to be everywhere. So, like Washington, D.C. and Washington State, that's so confusing. Why have two different places with the same name? So we'll keep Washington State. Well, maybe not. He was a slave owner. But Washington, D.C. will now be Trumpburg, District of Trump. Okay, Trumpburg, D.T. That'll be the new name. After I'm finished, they'll do that out of total love for me. Because I'm more popular than Jesus. Aha! You must be old enough. You must be from the 60s. You knew that was from John Lennon. John Lennon said, "I'm more popular than Jesus," right? And so they burned the Beatles records because John Lennon said that. And we hippies were just laughing our pants off every time we heard something like that. Burning Beatles records, because John Lennon was more popular than the Beatles. But now I'm going to be more popular than John Lennon, the working class hero. I'm the working class hero. You want to know my working class roots? All right. So, my family's rich. But my mother, she wasn't so rich. She was from out in the sticks of northern Scotland, out in the islands there, Hebrides or something. And but my roots, my childhood roots, how I got this affinity for the working class, and I can relate to them, is because my father sent me to the construction sites because he didn't want to spoil me. Right? He's a good parent, a little strict, but a good parent. He didn't want to spoil me. He knew there was a tendency for rich kids to be spoiled. So he sent me to the construction sites to pound a few boards together, and then he said, see those nails? There's nails on the ground everywhere. Pick them up. Me, the rich kid, picking up nails. You know how much a damn nail costs? 5 cents a pound back then for nails, and I'm picking up nails from my father to learn humility and not to be wasteful, right? Thrift. You got to learn thrift and to work with the working class, pounding the boards with them, talking with them. So that's why I was a great builder in New York, because I could relate to the workers, the ones that did a good job, of course. The ones that say I was a terrible boss, those are the ones that didn't do a good job and I didn't pay them. So they hate my guts. But most of them were good workers, so most of them love me. I'll tell you how to get high without drugs. Now, you might think, if you believe Time Magazine, you have to smoke dope to be a hippie. No, that's the fake news. The real news is that the word hip is an old African word meaning to know. I'm hip to that means I know about that. So in the black ghettos, they had variations of the word hip, hippie, hipster, These are people who were in the know, people who are wise, people who are up to date, the cool people who knew what's what, the important things in the world. That's what a hippie is. The original hippies were black, and then all races joined in. So then Time magazine comes along, the summer of love, 1967, and they said, oh, look at these hippies, they're dirty, they're scruffy, they won't get a haircut, what are they, sissies or what? And they're all smoking dope from Mexico, marijuana. No, don't believe the fake media. No, being a hippie is about love and peace, because that's the wisest way to be. That's the wisest way to live. The world has to bring back love and peace, or if we ever had it. But anyway, we're human beings capable of a world with just love and peace. So if you, okay, I'll get to you in a second here. So if you just, so you don't need to take drugs necessarily to get this enlightenment. And so one of the ways to do it is with a contact high. That's what I did. It's kind of cheating, but you hang around with people who are stoned, and then you just sort of copy them and just soak up their vibes, and you get high too, without ever hurting your own body. Okay, we have a question from the audience.
2 points. The first point is, if you want to get high without drugs, have a workout and get high off endorphins.
Good point. Good point. What was the second one?
The second one is, if you were such a peaceful person, then why did you attack Vince McMahon from behind in WrestleMania with a clothesline?
I'll tell you, to put on a good show. Oh. You like a good show?
That, I think, was totally inappropriate and was uncalled for, and it does not belong in the world of professional sports.
We have an expert in the audience. Isn't that great? All right, so we had a lot of fun with that show. And if you want to think, so of course every wrestling match has to have the hero and the villain. But you can disagree on which is which. So to most of my fans in that match that you're talking about, in the World Wrestling, whatever it's called, for most of my fans, of course, I was the hero. But if you want to think of me as the villain and the other guy, who I made look really silly, if you want to think of him as the hero, fine, right? It's theater. It's hip. Get hip to it, man. It's theater.
Well, all sports is theater, but
Of course, all sports.
We're dealing with a sport that's much more competitive than other sports. It's the most competitive sport there is, professional wrestling, in which the WWF is the most competitive league that there is in the world of professional sports. I know. I have experience with wrestling.
You look like it. Do you want to stand up for the cameras, or do you want to?
I'm fine.
Okay. You're a little shy. That's all right.
I'm not shy. I just don't want to hurt you.
He thinks he can take me. These Canadians.
These hands are lethal.
All right. Here's my weapon. The pen. The pen is mightier than the sword. So I hire people with pens to write down what I say. Wrestling, yeah. Wrestling's a lot of fun. Okay, so, but I was a high school star, of course. All the sports, I was the best in high school. Military college. So yes, you can get high from endorphins or whatever hormones you get when you exercise. Yeah, exercise it gives you a great high. And lots of other things. Art, music, dance, politics, humor. Now, of course, if you have politics without the humor, it can be very depressing, and you want to start taking uppers to. When you don't look at politics properly, you got to look at politics sort of like the professional sports league. You got teams, you got competition. Each one is trying to do better than the other, and so the excellence rises. If the teams never went against each other, they would never improve. They've got to improve. There's got to be competition for improvement. So the country benefits from the various parties competing against each other to try to give the people something better. If there's one party, what's the incentive for them to serve the people? There's none. Two parties, better, but we need more than two parties.
I don't think it really makes a difference who you vote for because it's all kind of planned out by the corporate elite.
Until me, that's true. Until me, and a few people like Teddy Roosevelt and Andrew Jackson, kind of outsiders that came in and turned over the tables, like Jesus in the temple, turning over the tables. So you're right. Generally, it's just the same old thing. The old corporate masters ruling everything until you have somebody come in there turning over the tables, and that's what I'm doing. Turning over the tables, upsetting everything, getting everybody upset in order. Do you want to tell the whole class what you were just saying?
I thought he said covert elite, not corporate elite. Thank you.
And so how are you turning it?
Either one.
How are you turning it over? Like, how? Like the corporate or leader are all your advisors.
You're right, sort of, but I get them on the team. I get them on my team, or I join their team. No, I get them on my team.
And then you get them like bell bottoms and like beads and Indian shirts and
Did you steal my notes?
hands, little headbands. No. I've seen them. I've seen them at night. At night, they're just different people.
Yeah, well, they're trying to pick up chicks at night, so yeah, they're going to do that. But how? So what's my grand strategy? Now you might think, oh, he's got a secret strategy. No, I've been saying it all along. You listen to my speeches on YouTube, on the internet, and you'll find I have no secrets. Everything I'm doing, I've predicted, and I make more predictions. So my prediction is that I'm going to remake the Republican Party in my image. The Democratic, because
You get them all tanning beds. You get them all tanning beds. Is that it? Yeah, tanning beds.
yeah, okay, you're repeating your.
A little hydrogen peroxide things.
No. I don't bleach my hair. See, I'm a billionaire, so I can afford to have my hair gold-plated. So this is gold-plated hair, right? It's not phony. Real gold. It's an element. It's not an artificial test tube thing.
Well, they've got the color wrong then.
No, this is the color of gold. Don't you have gold bars at home? No, I guess you don't know. Look in the National Geographic. They have the color right there. So yeah, this is my natural hair, gold-plated. And she's joking about putting Republicans in bell bottoms, and that's a good joke. You know, you could have a career for that. So yes, but not just the superficial. We're going to open up the whole country to creativity, to getting high naturally. So what's the problem now? Is the whole country is an alcoholic country, same as Russia, same as Northern Europe. Mostly where the heaviest drinkers are. And this is one of the main problems of European culture and white culture in America is alcoholism. So my brother was an alcoholic. My brother Fred, rest his soul, he said to me, Donald, don't ever drink. It's the worst thing I ever did. He drank, he smoked, he died young. He said, little brother, don't drink. And I didn't. I've never smoked either. And this is how at 71 I'm still, a stud, because I have all my faculties. Stud, yeah. Your hearing is going off in your advanced years. My hearing is fine. Stud, I said.
I think you're stuck. Or stunk. I can't. Or skunk. I don't think stud. No. That's something that holds a wall up. Yeah.
Well, sort of. I'm a better carpenter than you, but okay. All right. So obviously she doesn't hate me. She's just trying to make a joke, you know. 'Cause if you hated me, you'd be full of venom spewing and blood coming out of your wherever. I mean, on your face. You're wherever on your face, right? Not anywhere else on your face. Not worth the effort, she says. Right, because she's on board. She's coming on board to our team. But if you want to join the Democratic team, that's fine too. But you'll lose to me unless you learn the lessons of making America great that I am teaching the Republican Party. If the Democratic Party wants to get anywhere, it has to learn those lessons. Copy me. Copy me if you want your party to not go down in total defeat when I'm reelected with the greatest majority since Reagan.
So I have a question. If we're supposed to copy you, how come your wife copied Michelle Obama's speech almost word for word when she was at the inaugural address?
You really like to pick on women, don't you? Come on. Don't you realize this is the problem with women? They're not supportive of each other. They're enforcing the patriarchy against each other instead of being in solidarity, women's lib, you see?
I thought it was a great speech, but she just didn't credit the author.
Well, okay, so do you have to, she's a little bit embarrassed, right? Because she was a kind soul, just doing the best she could, and I hired some people to help her, and things went a little wrong. You gonna crucify her for that?
No, but you'll do.
You want to crucify me?
Oh, but that's what John Lennon said.
Yeah, and
The way things are going, they're going to crucify me. Well, take a tip.
they did crucify him, but I have the Secret Service, all right? And so, but it is a risk, I agree, that I have to take because, well, I thought Romney was going to do a good job, so I thought I wouldn't have to be president because he doesn't drink. He's a Mormon, doesn't smoke. So I thought, okay, we'll give him a chance. But he messed it up totally. He could have won, but he didn't. So I said, okay, just like my mother said, if you want something done right, do it yourself. So that's what I did. And thank you, right? But we got to get to all the parties. In fact, 2 parties isn't enough. You know, that's a very artificial thing. When I first ran for president in 1999, I ran for the Reform Party. That guy from Texas, Ross Perot. Well, that's a joke because when he was growing up, he thought his name was Ross Perot because that's what the Texans called him. But it's actually a French word. You Canadians would know this. It's actually Perot. It's a French last name, but he didn't know that because all the Texans called him, "Hi, Ross Perot." So he thought that was his name. But, you know, he came out to the broader world. Anyway, sidetrack. So I joined the race for the Reform nomination and just to get my feet wet and find out how to run for president. I hadn't done it before. And then 17 years later, I win. So the Reform Party, that was a good attempt. There has to be other parties besides the Democratic and Republican parties, because each one is this unholy combination. None of them really a pure party. So you look at Canada, you have 5 parties in Parliament, and that's better, but it's still not fully representing the people, especially it's not doing it in a proportional way. So 1 Green in your Canadian Parliament, well, that's not the proportion of people that support the Green Party. So they should have more seats. It should be proportional. I was good at math too, did you know that? Yeah, I was good in everything. Math, politics, girls, you know, like a regular college star. More questions. Good. Have trouble reading my own notes.
When I think hippie, and I totally missed the hippies because I was reading the Bible and studying and total nerd, and I wasn't irresponsible with my time. I didn't breathe smoke into my lungs, and
A real pious Christian?
I kept all my clothes on. And when I think hippie, hippies don't want walls, they want open fields with flowers and sunshine. And they all want to get naked. So why aren't you naked?
Well, if you play your cards right, you may get a taste of the prize, a taste of the big stud in the room. If you play your cards right. But no, I'm totally in favor of nudity. In fact, but as far as the wall, it's going to be a beautiful wall, like the Great Wall of China.
Pink Floyd, take down the wall.
Take down some walls. We took down the Berlin Wall. That was an ugly wall. But you want to tear down the Great Wall of China? No, that's a beautiful wall. You see? But not just physically beautiful, but the purpose of it. The purpose of the Great Wall of China was to keep out the marauding, warlike conquerors from the north. So that was a good wall, both visually and politically. But let's get to the nudity. That's more fun. Okay, so what's wrong with the world today? One of the biggest conflicts is between the Muslims and the Christians and Jews. So what's the problem there? Well, they're both, all three religions are patriarchal religions, but they have a basis in the suppression of women. So one of the ways to do that is to confine the women, to keep them from associating with the general public, to keep them covered. Now, most people don't understand all the ramifications of keeping a woman covered. So it's natural for men to like to see naked women. Well, if they're heterosexual. They like to see naked women or naked men if they're that way. So people just like to see nudity, especially men love to see nudity. If they don't, and if they don't have sex, not that the two are the same, but if they have neither nudity nor sex, they want to go to war. This is. Remember I said I need 3 months to figure it out? I figured it out. That's it. If men don't see nudity and don't have sex, they want to go to war. And that's what's fueling these wars in the Middle East and so on. Now, it's not that they never see nudity, but all the nudity they see is the white women on the internet in the porn stuff, or the black women from the States. And they think, well, those aren't my women. I mean, the women I could get, well, first of all, I have to be rich to even get a woman. Because the rich guys have got 5 or 10 wives each, and that makes very slim pickings for the rest of us. So you got all these young guys that aren't rich, and they don't have a woman, and they never see even a nude woman, and they're horny as hell, and they're mad. I'd be mad too if I were them. Fortunately, I have what it takes to get all the women I want, but they don't. So that's what's fueling the war. You got to make the men happy, and then they won't want to fight all the wars. They won't be susceptible to all this recruitment and making them extremists and the suicide bombers. That's all unhappy men, mostly, and a few of their crazy girlfriends. Thank you, fans.
It seems like in this country, here in Canada that you're visiting, it seems like we have a lot of similar problems with a lot of men not getting girlfriends. They don't have enough money. They have to have like a lot of cash, at least $50,000. Basically, to get a girlfriend, you have to already be married. You have to have, in order to get a good paying job, you got to be married. You have to have children. And if you're not married, don't have children, it's almost impossible nowadays to get a girlfriend. You have to have a lot of cash, and hardly anybody has girlfriends nowadays. Not many people are getting laid or anything like that. Here in Canada, it's like a...
What they do if they drink. If they all get drunk and then screw each other, then the next morning the women say, "Oh, that wasn't so good. That I didn't consent," And the man said, and the men say, oh, I didn't consent either. But I'm not complaining. But the women are complaining. So that's a bad system. That's based on alcohol. We can't just use alcohol as a safety valve, or prostitution as a safety valve for these unhappy, horny men that are creating all the wars in the world. Of course, the rich men at the top are the ones that are instigating the wars, but they need the cooperation of the foot soldiers, the cannon fodder at the bottom, who join because they're young and horny and poor, like you say. So what we're going to do, as I said, guaranteed jobs, remember? So guys who are now sitting in the basement playing computer games because they've lost all hope of getting a job, and they're complacent and they're addicted and everything else, we tell them, look, any day you want to work, come into the government employment office, get there by 8 in the morning, you can work that day. That day you can work, guaranteed. We don't, unless you're drunk, you got to come in sober. So then there's no excuse. Oh, well, I don't have my resume. A resume never got me a job. No, that's the way to tell the applicants, go away. Here, give me your resume and go away. I don't want to talk to you. No, that's not the way to get jobs. That's not how I ever got a job, and that's not. You don't need a resume to get a guaranteed government job.
What about expensive interview clothing?
There's no interviews for guaranteed jobs. You come in, 8 in the morning, you want to work? Okay, go with this crew. They're going to pick out all the dandelions from the park because we're not going to use poison on the park grass anymore. And then, that's the first day. The second day, they say, oh, you did a pretty good job. You were dependable, you worked hard, so we'll give you a little bit better job the second day. And you work up. And then, pretty soon, somebody from the private sector comes along and says, give me your best 10 people. I'm hiring. Give me your best 10 people. So the guaranteed jobs government people say, okay, here are 10 best workers we recommend. So they hire them for good jobs with good pay, you see. So everybody gets a leg up. And without all these huge barriers, oh, you don't have a resume. Oh, you don't have interview clothes. All this garbage meant to make everybody complacent, so we have to bring in the Mexicans to do all the work. That's not how to run a country. That's no way to run a country. Got to get the people here working first, and then the other countries will copy us. They'll have guaranteed work for all their people, and then you won't have all these displaced people desperate for work going around the world trying to get a job. No, there'll be jobs in every country because America will be great and will inspire the rest of the world all to get great too. Right? Okay. So I'm going to win a re-election, right? There's no doubt about that. Now, I'm not a gambling man, but it's no gamble if you bet on me to win re-election. No gamble at all. Easy money in the bank. So we're about out of time. Thanks for suffering through, everybody. I have lots more notes here. I didn't cover everything. So come to my future rallies tomorrow and the next day if you like. And is there one last question? Anybody has a burning question on their mind before we close it off for the night?
If I don't get home in 15 minutes, I will not have dinner, and I haven't had lunch.
Then you the question,
Okay.
can I go now?
Sounds like you have a feminist wife. Okay, good. We got to get some Canadian content in here, CRTC or something. So I picked up this little newspaper, cute little newspaper put out by Langara College students, the journalism students, bunch of cute kids, really, real young, like I was when I started being a real big deal, big man on campus. So now I'm going to try not to laugh too much because, kids, they make mistakes sometimes. Anyway, so on the front page, so don't zoom in on this because I don't want to embarrass them too much. I'm not going to say their names, but the headline says, periods a problem in men's toilets. Now, you may remember a couple of years ago, they made a big deal about how I was talking about that thing that women do once a month. And I didn't say much because, you know, it's kind of a disgusting topic. And so, but they went on and on and on about how I was talking about that stuff, which I don't want to mention. And they went on and on and on, and they don't realize I don't want to talk about that. So my lack of denial wasn't because I was guilty, it was because I just want to talk about other things. But I'm going to make an exception tonight because this is not women doing that. This is men menstruating, okay? So it's the latest thing, you know, for men to menstruate. All right, so, well, of course, they're trans men. So if you're from the hinterland, that means transsexual. But I'm from New York City, so, you know, I know all the cool stuff. I get along with everybody. I love everybody. Live and let live. That's how we New Yorkers are. Anyway, so the story, it says, and I'll read you the quotes from the story about two trans men at Langara College, and they have a bit of a problem when they go to the restroom. They, quote, they feel forced into an embarrassing predicament. No one wants to throw it in the regular garbage. So I'll not be too explicit. There might be young people listening. But they have these little bins. You guys don't know this, but in the women's washroom, they tell me, they have these little bins in the toilet for women to put their stuff that men don't have, usually. And so these two trans men want all of the restrooms at their college to have these in all the men's restrooms too. So, of course, why can't they just throw them in the garbage? Well, according to this, it's an embarrassing predicament. No one wants to throw it in the regular garbage. It's like an existential crisis. Now, I went to an Ivy League college, right? So I know what existential means, right? In case you don't know, it means existing. So like whether you exist or not, like World War III, like the environmental collapse, like global warming. Yeah, I said that. Like war, like violence, domestic violence, like suicide, like those are existential crises. See, I know the plural too. So, where are you going to throw it? That's not an existential crisis. I'm sorry, it just isn't. It's, what do they call it, microabrasion? No, it's not. Forget it. Don't put it on the front page of the newspaper. Well, of course you can if you want to look stupid. So, okay. She asks if it's a hygiene issue to put your bloody stuff in with the paper towels in that garbage. But I'm no expert, okay? But to me, garbage is garbage, and
It's called medical waste.
medical waste. Oh, okay. We have to incinerate. We have to ship it over to the hospital incinerator, right? Okay, good. I'm glad we have the good real facts from the audience. That's very helpful. But you know, you could just put it in a plastic bag and take it home and put it wherever you want to. Then, I mean, what's the crisis? You know, figure it out. It's not that.
You haven't menstruated.
That's true. Okay. When I start menstruating, I'm sure my complete analysis will be reversed. But I'll tell you what, I've been a male for 71 years. Okay? So if somebody who wasn't born with good stuff like me decides they're a male too, then I'm going to teach them two lessons. One, how to be a man, and two, how to be a man. So the first how to be a man is when you come out of the toilet stall and you're proud of who you are, a man, you're going to be waving that thing around. Hey guys, look how bloody it is. Give me a pat on the back. Wow, I really did a good job this time. This is how a male thinks. And how to be a man, part 2, is when you feel this need and you could go to the women's can and pass and get in there with no hassle, but you feel like a man, then great, you can sneak in there and maybe you get a free peek here and there. And so you're going to do that, right? Because that's how a man thinks. So, how to be a man, part 1 and 2. Anyway, I don't tell anybody what to do because live and let live. I'm a hippie. I'm just trying to give them a little helpful advice so that we can get the real existential crises on the front cover. All right, now all during the, thanks for the applause. So all during, thank you. Right, hold it down. We don't have all day for your clapping. So we, thanks everybody. Come back later. Watch on the internet all of these rallies when you get feeling down and you need inspiring. Thank you very much. Good night. Thanks to M. Rogers on the sound. Thanks to the Odd Fellows for their beautiful hall here. Makes me look great. I'm the oddest fellow of all, that's true. All right, thanks a lot. There's another show at 9:30 tonight here called Shy Therapy at a Nude Beach. I'm going to stick around and see how that one turns out. And 2 more days of the Friendly Festival here. Another question?
No, I was just...
You're just waving at me. Meet me back at my apartment, you're saying?
No.
Okay. What are you, a nude model or something?
No, I was going to say Harvey Weinstein's waiting for you at your apartment.
Oh, he's going gay now?
No, he just thinks you're like a peer of his.
Oh, he's going to try to get some of sloppy things from me. No, I don't share that much. Thank you. Good night, everybody. Did you know I can sing? What the world needs now is love, sweet love. All you need is love, love. Be sure to wear some flowers in your hair. Give me a head with hair, long beautiful hair. Kicks won't bring you peace of mind. You don't own me. Don't tell me what to do. He's the universal soldier and he really is to blame. Maybe someday you'll join us and the world will be as one.